so, all right, so we're back. This is day 3. Yesterday we spent the whole day on the road. You might as well come on and move in here. So I had to go to Spokane Airport, and you mind having your name on here? You do or you don't?
I do, it's fine.
Okay, well, anyways, Mr. Brody, how about that?
That's fine.
Okay, so I had to go and pick up Mr. Brody, and that took pretty much an entire day. We actually put on, what did we go, 260 miles yesterday? We went quite a ways. And so anyways, we're back and we're picking up exactly where video 2 ended. So if you recall, we had taken 3 of these, ran them in the die, tried them in the gun, and they went in fine. One thing that we were concerned with is, and bring that over here, Vicki, is we were concerned, well here, I better show you something first. So this is 375 Rem Ultramag brass, ADG, right? So this is what it measures as it comes out of the box. In other words, the only thing that's been done to these is the primer pockets have been uniformed and the flash holes have been uniformed. So you see we're at 2.837, and that's about what they all measure. So when you run them in the die, they are getting longer, and you have to be aware of that. So we're at 2.843, so they're growing about 6 thou each time. We're running it in the die for one pass to take it from internally. These are, they should be 375, but they're about 372, 373 on the inside. Now on the inside, they are about 3.5, just call it 3.54. Okay, so they're getting longer. We're pushing the neck down, and they're getting longer. Now, something that came up in the conversation driving down here yesterday is, well, are we going to have to trim them? Because normally my normal standard operating procedure is to uniform the flash holes, uniform the primer pockets, and then trim everything to a uniform standard length. And usually I just barely I trim to whatever the shortest case is in whatever batch I'm using. Alright. But this, because all we have is this print. We don't have any other data. This is the first chamber, is what I'm trying to say. So we have the print here, and we were looking on here, and so how much neck do we have? And what did you just tell me, that how much do we have? You have to do the math there. That's 2.860. That's not the, oh, that's the total cartridge overall length. Yes. The brass length is 2.860. So look, Vicki, so that they can try to understand what the heck I'm saying here. So the print's saying that the cartridge from the base to the edge of the mouth can be 2.860. So that's what the chamber measures. So we're only at 2.843. So we're not going to trim, is what we're trying to say here. We're not going to trim because there's no reason to trim. And something else that Damon pointed out is when they blow out, which you guys will see, when they blow out, they're going to get bigger radially. By the way, do you know how much are they going to blow out? Do you know this stuff in your head? So it's saying it can be 536. Oh my, they're going to come out quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you see at the shoulder, the print's saying the chamber is 0.536. We're at 521. So it's going to blow out, and when you blow a case out, it generally gets shorter.
Correct.
So, and usually, what's in your experience? How much shorter do they usually get?
About 8 to 10 thou.
8 to 10 thousandths.
Yeah.
It's going to shorten up.
Yep.
So it would be foolish of us to trim them, because if anything, we could use more rather than less. So we're not going to trim. So what we're going to do here is we are going to take all of these. Get back over here, Vicki. For you guys who missed the camera number 2, I'm using the Imperial sizing die wax. All we're doing is taking a little bit of it, put it on the neck, and if you recall, can you see this, Vicki? I put the die in here. I don't want to move it. I don't want to move the die because it's set. but I set the piece of brass on the shell holder. I ran it the whole way to the top, and I turned the die down by hand until I felt the shoulder on the case impact the shoulder in the die. And like you're turning it and it gets tight. That's where I stopped. And so that's where that die is right now. It is not locked down. It's just sitting there floating. And so take that, and it actually is going in pretty easy. And then wipe your lube back off, Vicky. You know what? I'll do it. We know this is going to go because we did those other three. I'm just doing this for the camera. So set it in here. Again, this is a solid bottom single shot. I just showed him. Push that up in there with your finger. Hold the gun vertical. Listen for it to snap over and see it goes easy. The other thing you can do too is you can grab this. That's very interesting. It's just about perfect. Because, here look, I'll show them what I just tried to do. I tried to watch. See, there's. See if you can bring that right down here and see if you can show them that. Try to use that. Use your button.
I am.
Did you hit the secondary button?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so watch. That amount of play right there is the space between the face of this bolt, the actual nose of it, and the back of the barrel tenon. And by the way, you've seen this guy on camera before. Jason Mueller just gave me a gun yesterday. We met him up there. We met him at the Cabela's at Post Falls, and he gave me a gun, and he said it's not shooting. And it was in a case, and the bolt was out of it. I just happened to reach over. Maybe I'll get it and show it to you. It's actually here. The face of this bolt is completely shined up like crazy. It's got big marks all over it. Well, obviously, the nose of the bolt is hitting the back of the tenon, and they will not shoot. If that is slamming into there, what happens is you get this, especially if it's really slamming into there, then it'll at least be uniform. But what goes on is you have this, say it's only off a thou or two. You have the bolt moving and slamming into the back of it, and it sets up a different set of vibrations. And so, like, maybe you'll get 2 or 3 that are good, and then you get wild flyers. And as soon as I looked at the end of that bolt, I'm like, that's not right. Yes, and I know who built it, but I'm not going to say. Anyways, we're going to lube these all, run these all through the die, and then we'll come back and show you the next operation. Alright, so we just ran all of these, how many's here? 84. Ran 84 into this die. Come over here, Vicky, so they can see this. So, when I say the die, it was just sitting in there. See how it wobbles all over the place? It was not locked down in any way, so that way that it can self-center whenever and you realize too, that a shell on a shell holder can move. I mean, it actually has quite a bit of movement right there. So when you're pushing that up in there, when the die can move, when the shell, it can go anywhere at once, and it pretty much goes in straight then. So now what we're going to do is, we ran all 84 of these through that die, and we wiped the lube off of them. And what we're going to do is, we're going to run these through this gun. Unfortunately, this is left-handed, so, hey, Hyla, you want to come and catch these? And then you hand them to Mr. Brody, and then he will put them back in the tray. You ready? Now, we're not going to show you running all 84 through, but there you go, Hilo. Take it. Okay. But if you really want to know if they're all going to fit before you go out in the field to shoot them, running them all through makes good sense. And they're all going. That's what we were just talking about a second ago. This brass, this is ADG brass. Seems very uniform, like really, really good. Here. Okay, I'll get that.
that one wasn't big.
Here, no.
They're pretty new again.
All right, Tyler, and then you get. All right, so here's the last one. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so here, you take the gun. So we ran them all through, and they went in excellent. This is, I mean, it's really nice. It feels absolutely perfect. So now the thing about this is, we ran those through that die, and these are now 354 on the inside. So if you seated a 358 bullet, you'd have 4 thousandths grip or neck tension on the bullet. We're gonna be blowing these out, right? We're gonna be blowing these out with these bullets. You very easily could seat bullets with 4 thou, but that's a lot of. I mean, it's going to be more than what we need, because we're going to take these bullets and jam them into the rifling to hold the case back against the bolt face, because the brass is going to blow out and forward. Because would you say these come with, this is 30 degree shoulder, and we're going to 35 degree shoulder. So having lighter neck tension will probably be a better thing, because there's no reason to grab hold of that bullet that tight when we're going to be jamming it into the rifling anyway. So what we're going to do now is, and I don't know where it went. Where did the right expander man? Here it is, right here. So we already, what?
Nothing.
Well, I'm only doing this because you don't know if they saw the video before this. So we've got these awesome expander mandrels. This is Sinclair die, I'm assuming, right?
Yep.
And this expander mandrel is 357. So we're going to run that in. That'll push those, they'll snap back a little bit. So they're probably going to be at about 356 on the inside. That'll give us, instead of 4 grip, it'll give us 2. That'll be just about right. And remember, I showed this before. These things, this rattles around in here, right? It rattles around in there. We're going to do the same thing. Watch, Vicky. Use your zoom so if you need it. We're going to run that. We're going to loosen this ring completely. I'm going to loosen that so I can spin it. But we're just going to let that sit in there like that. And I'll have to stop here for a minute. She can stop. I'm going to use this.
Graphite.
Okay? To put on the necks as you run the expander mandrel in it, so that there has some level of lube. But I need to loosen this lock ring. So Vicky, you can shut that off. All right, get over here so they can see, Vicky. So I loosened that lock ring. I'm just going to take that lock ring completely off of there. There's no reason to have it. By the way, if you do want to use lock rings for anything, Sinclair makes really high quality ones that are actually really nice. And some of these I put on my surface grinder and ground them both on both sides. So, I mean, if you need a lock ring, you can have high quality ones, but we do not need that. Now, so the expander mandrel's in there, and it's 357. Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm just going to screw that in the top. I'm not even going to go very long, because these are very long cases. So, I mean, it doesn't, you can see where you're going to be. You don't want to ram that case into the top of this die. So this is barely screwed into the top of that. All right, now, like I said, this is graphite, black graphite. Okay? So that is in here. There's little beads in there, right? And you dump that graphite in there, put this in there, and you don't spill it like that. Do not get this stuff on things, because it doesn't come back off. So, let's see what this is like. Wow, more pressure than I thought it would be. Okay, so I can feel it hit. So we're going to barely, that die is going to be barely in there, because, here, look. It's not like it's going the whole way to the top. It has that much that you can't see. So it's like that. Okay? You can see where it went up on the... By the way, you can do this too. But that's too much of a pain in the butt to do every single case. So this, you could actually have, for this big of a cartridge, you could have a bigger press if you had one. So what is it now? So watch this, Vicky. So we were at, and that's just, look, just about exactly what I predicted. So it's 0.356. The bullets are 358, so we'll have 2,000s grip on the case. So it was a little bit tighter though going on there than I wish that it would be. So we're going to get quite a bit of graphite on here. You're going to have to be careful because I still think it would hit the top of that mandrel. Yep, right there. That's it. If you went too far, you'd mess up the case because the end of this is ramming into the bottom of the base of the mandrel. So that one's actually about 356.5. All right, so I'm going to give you another blue towel, and you might as well start getting that back off of there here. So I'll put them in this, and then you reach and grab them and clean them off and put them in that. You know what, too? I just thought of something. Just to see, we better... Here. Vicky, are you still running here?
I am.
All right, get over here for a second. So see, this measures 2.842 before we run it on that mandrel. What did it measure when they coming off? Oh, about the same. Sometimes, usually, anytime you do anything to brass, it's getting longer. So I'm going to check this one as I run it in. This is 2.842. Got quite a bit of that on there. Okay. No, they're not growing at all. If anything, it got a hair shorter, which is weird. Normally, that's not normal. Most of these are actually closer to 357. I don't like this. It's too tight. This is why that would be better if you had bushings, because you wouldn't have had to go so far, you know. That's pretty tight going on there, but they're not changing, not very much at all. One thing I will say, if you would have tried to seat bullets in them, as hard as the mandrel's going in,
Yeah.
it would have been a lot of pressure. If you put too much pressure on the bullets, it'll ruin the bullets too. When you go to shoot them, you'll wonder why you're shooting 3-inch groups, and it's because you put too much pressure on the jackets, messed them up. Alright, so we ran all of those. We ran the expander mandrel through all of these, and we were just talking about there had been a little bit of a flare on the on the edge of that case mouth when we ran them in the die. But it's interesting running the expander mandrel in them for reasons I do not fully understand. It seems like it straightened them right back out. So they now measure about 356.5, 357 on the inside. Okay, so just to be safe, the smart thing to do is run at least a few of these back in here. Now I'm sure that they're going to be fine, but you realize they're a lot bigger now in the neck than what they were a second ago. Just set that up there. So I'm not going to run all 84 of them through, but I just want to see if a few here are right. It seems like no problem whatsoever. Remember, the gun has a 388 neck in it. And so we want a loaded cartridge of 387 or smaller, but this brass right now is measuring about 384. So we've got 4 thou clearance. And by the way, you can figure that out too pretty easily. So we're at about 356, 357. The bullet's going to be 358. So this is approximately going to get 1 to 1.5, 2 thou bigger. So 83, 84. We're going to be at about 85. 385. So the thing I think we're going to do next is, before we put primers in them, we should establish cartridge overall length, max soft seat jam. So that's what we're going to do next.